we continue our discussion. Last class we saw that how you can automate the warehouse operations using this RFID technology. So, many of once the data is collected, you can have a decision support system to guide the material handling equipments throughout the warehouse to pick up the items. Now, as I told you, the situation is different in case of a supply chain. In case of a supply chain, you need the support of EPC global network. Now, this EPC global network, as we have discussed in last to last class, it has 4 important elements. One is the ID system, this which contains this tag details and EPC readers, and we have EPC middleware and discovery services, and then we have EPC information service. To remind you further, as the items move along the supply chain, these details, see, in a warehouse, suppose this is the warehouse, within the warehouse, once the items are there, it is about taking the decisions regarding the movement of the items within the warehouse. But now the situation is different, we have other members as well. So, how do now it is the question of data sharing, and this EPC infrastructure, as we discussed in one of the classes earlier, class 2 classes earlier, EPC infrastructure is actually responsible for making this information sharing possible. So, with this infrastructure in place, where the item details are stored in this final PML server, is accessed by the warehouse, is accessed by the retail store, and so on. Now, what all things can happen because of this data sharing? Let us look at. First of all, when we are talking about the item level tagging, each item contains an RFID tag that has unique identifier, that we know, and this EPC is, these details are stored in the memory of that tag, So, therefore, the items can now be automatically and cost effectively identified and counted and tracked. Cases and pallets can also have their own tags and they can also be counted. Now, as this is the situation at the manufacturer's end, where the products are getting manufactured or getting assembled and packaged. Now, as the pallets leave the manufacturer, an RFID reader positioned on the loading dock door, look here, once the truck moves out, entire items which are there inside the truck can be read at once, and as I told you, this can be used to prepare advanced shipping notices. Next, when these items are moving out, as we know, these tags communicate their individual EPCs to the reader at the dock door, that we saw at the dock door, it is sending to the reader, which rapidly switches them on and off in sequence until all of them are read. Which means, in fact, I have already told you, we really do not read it, I mean the reader, in fact, you may have multiple readers as well, the readers themselves can also be error prone. So, therefore, once you read the items by the reader, to validate that you have to make multiple reads, that is what is said here. You have make multiple reads or get the data from multiple readers and finally filter it out, finding the what is the right code. and this right code is after all a code. So, to know that it is to which item it belongs, some mapping has to be done. Now, this reader sends this EPC to a computer called Savant, which in turn sends the EPC over the internet to the object naming service or ONS database, which produces the corresponding address. So, with respect to a code, a internet address, a URL is fetched using this object naming service. So, once this URL is fetched, next task is any supply chain member can access this PML server, physical markup language server, and the specific URL of that particular server to know the item details. So, here for example, if this is the product code, ONS server says that you look it, it gives a specific URL that you look it under this particular company's data. Now, PML server actually tells the detail that it is a can of cherry soda, it is shipped from Boston, MA, and so on. Next, at the distribution center, if the unloading area contains an RFID, there is no need to open the packages and examine their content. A Savant provides a cargo list and the pallets and the pallet is quickly routed to the appropriate truck. This is what we also discussed at the time of while talking about the RFID in warehouse. Next, in the retail store. Now, as soon as the pallets arrive at the retail store, systems are updated to include every item. Once it enters to the store, the items enter to the store, they are automatically read. Then the shelves in the retail store can also be smart with RFID technology. If you have these smart shelves, they can automatically order more products from the system and therefore keep the stock to cost effective and efficient level. Now, let us try to see where there is a push to this RFID technology. In fact, the drivers to adoption of this RFID technology in supply chain are Walmart and Department of Defense of the US. Both of them enforced their suppliers because both of them are very powerful buyers. So, therefore, they are capable of enforcing their suppliers to use this RFID technology. Initially, the cost of these tags, readers, antennas, all these equipments used to be very high. In fact, around 2003-04, when this Walmart and DOD mandates came, that time technology was very costly and most of the suppliers were quite reluctant. In fact, they were not able to find out the benefits that is coming to them by the use of RFID. They were only knowing that only the retailer like Walmart or the user like Department of Defense will be the beneficiaries. But at the time progresses, this the cost of tags and other equipments are RFID equipments are going down. Along with that, others members of the supply chain, they are also able to discover what value RFID can bring them. Then RFID simply provides the data. Now, what about the quality control? Product is tagged, product is going. What if the product quality is not good? RFID cannot give that data. In fact, of course, the solutions to that are also coming up. There are sensors for, of course, for every product sensors may not be there, but for many products sensors are there who can actually collect the quality data as well. So, the issues pertaining to this process and quality control was another enabler. Then government regulations, government also came up with this mandates on traceability etc., that is another push to RFID. Then there are many technical concerns with RFID. First is the RFID technology, though is a better technology than that of barcode, it is not a foolproof technology either. There are some technical concerns as well. For example, first concern is tag orientation. This tag orientation, tags oriented perpendicular to the reader antennas prevent an effective communication. The varying the position of the reader or building advanced antennas less sensitive to orientation presents a solution to this problem. Then second problem is reader coordination. Now several readers in proximity to each other may interfere with each other. As a result of this collision, data will be the data that you collect will not be proper. Then product packaging and independence. Certain type of packaging such as metallized packaging adversely affect the tag readability. Then across the globe in different countries, the frequency range provided for this RFID kind of applications are a bit different. So, there are several frequencies and standards have been developed for RFID tagging solutions. This is partly because of the national frequency use restrictions and cost trade-offs. Now, one of the possible options to resolve this standardization problem is to build readers that can operate using multiple standards. Naturally, such multi-purpose reader antennas will be little bit costly. Then second concern is with that of data format. The way the data is represented in the memory of a rewritable tag is not standardized yet, which makes it more difficult for companies to share and interpret data. As they move through the supply chain, it becomes more and more difficult. When the memory capacity potential of RFID are increased enough, XML may be used for this purpose, but right now this is not an option. Of course, beyond this EPC details, the tags come with some additional memory. In fact, situation is much better now. They come with additional memory and that can be used to keep additional information, but it is not as big as putting an XML file, because after all in this EPC infrastructure, information infrastructure, the data about the product is kept in a remote server, not in the tag. Tag contains only a code. Then next is electromagnetic interference. They can be caused by physical external factors such as machines, electric motors. In fact, in addition to this, these liquids and metals, they can also absorb and reflect radio frequency signals. There are concerns on privacy and security as well. In privacy, in the context of privacy, RFID makes it possible to gather the sensitive data about the individuals without him being aware of. How about the individual? When the customer buys some product from your store, he carries the product and along with the tag. So, if he has to be tracked, it is enough to track the product because he carries the product. So, therefore, privacy of the person is lost. Now, security, there are many handheld devices as well. So, if somebody would like to track you, then he can very much do that. Then next is your security concern. The major risk with RFID issues from low processing speed and low memory tags, especially with the passive tags, is they are very weak for cryptographic operations. So, therefore, whatever items are stored in your store, their details can be known to anybody working in that having the RFID readers and following the specific standard. So, besides these concerns, RFID is a very promising technology and these concerns are of course increasingly handled by researchers, but RFID to wind it up, RFID is aggressively getting adopted in supply chain. In fact, now most of the high value products that you buy comes not only with RFID, if you are little careful, if you just lift the barcode tag, you may find below that there is a RFID circuit. Thank you very much.